Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me tonight. We are going to be painting hollyhocks with cotton swabs. It should be a lot of fun, easy project, very, very, very simple. So I hope you join me for it, and let's get started. Alrighty, here's my example painting, and I'll go over our palette really quick. You could use whatever color combination you wanted. Hollyhocks kind of grow from white to purple, seems like, and all the colors in between of pink, varieties of pinks and peaches and things, reds. So I decided to go with white, titanium white, Quinacridone Magenta. This is Naphthol Red Medium, but if you don't have that, you can use some sort of a crimson red, just a little bit more on the purple side red. This is Pyrrole Orange, Cadmium Yellow Medium, Yellow Oxide, Burnt Sienna, Phthalo Blue Green shade, Phthalo Green Yellow shade, and Dioxazine Purple. The background is prepped with a coat of bright aqua green, which you can mix with the Phthalo Blue and Phthalo Green and some white. Just use a little bit more of the green shade. It's like a turquoise that has just a little bit more green leaning shade. And I used white, little dab of white, the green in between, and then I did green, 3 things of green down at the bottom, and I just streaked it. So the top's a little bit lighter than the bottom, but I didn't want to take our time doing that tonight because I wanted us to have plenty of time to get this project going. And hopefully in about an hour, we'll see. Hopefully less. Honestly, it didn't take me very long at all. And I went ahead and switched to a taller canvas. I did my example painting on a 9x12, but I really kind of felt like, you know, hollyhocks are those long, tall flowers. So I wanted to have a little bit more space to play with. So we just put it on a 12x12 square, or if you had a long canvas, it'd look awesome if you just did it all the way up a long tall canvas. So I'm going to put the first few little stalks here and curving lines a little bit. This one may curve this way a little bit instead of it's too far over. And I'm just using regular school chalk here, and I'm going to start making some circle shapes. I'm going to make them quite large. This will work, and I'm just going to do them on either side of these stalks, getting smaller toward the top, and at the very top we'll just do a few little dots. So this one I'll do another one here, and then you doing okay? I've got my husband Mark here with me tonight. I forgot to mention you, honey. Sorry.
Man, I had to just make some noise for you to notice me over here, huh?
Was that?
It wasn't on purpose, but maybe it was one of those Freudian
subliminal
slips.
Message like,
Somebody else is in here with you.
I have been gone for the weekend. I'm a little out of practice, so I just took one day off, and I forget how to do it. I've got my husband Mark here with me for chat for the live show, so if you've got questions, you can pop those over to him, and he will try to get those to me while we're working here on this. So, yeah. Sorry about that, hon.
It's okay. I know. I know you're becoming a YouTube sensation. Us little people.
The little people.
Yeah. Well, I understand.
Yep.
I can say I knew you win.
Right. Oh, you can't even see these, can you? You see, this is the kind of thing you're supposed to tell me.
I can see them okay.
You can see them okay?
Yeah. I mean, since I won't be painting it, it looks fine to me.
Okay.
They're circles.
Well, yeah, basically they're
I think people have seen circles before.
True. Some of them are ovals, though.
Ooh.
You think that.
Ooh, stepping up your game.
Right. So if you are new to our channel, welcome. We do these shows live several times a week. And if you are looking for our schedule after the show, you can go and check out my channel homepage. It'll have all the information on there about our current schedule, and we hope you subscribe and come start joining us on these live shows. We have a lot of fun. Okay, I didn't leave any room for leaves, so I need to start putting in some leaves here. Do one here. Just going to kind of fit them in around my flowers. Let's do a big one right off this guy. They kind of have a weird double shape. They're almost kind of like a grape leaf. It's like if you did two ovals, or an oval and a like teardrop shape at the end. That's kind of what they look like. So there, and then like that. I just want to pop in a few leaves so that we know where to put them, because we're going to put all our greenery in first. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So for the green part, for the stems, I'm just going to use a regular credit card, and I'm going to scoop up some of the Phthalo Green and a little bit of burnt sienna. It'll make just a deeper green color. It's not quite so circusy green as Ginger Cook likes to call it. I very rarely will use a paint straight out of the tube unless, unless it's like an accent, but not for like your main colors. Very rarely will the color straight out of the tube, because they're just too concentrated. They're not going to look really good as a focal point color. They're just too saturated, too bright, too much. I'm trying to think of my words here. I'm not using my words properly tonight. But okay, so I'm scooping up the paint so that it's kind of beaded up on one side of the credit card, and I'm kind of laying that side sort of at an angle down towards the canvas. It's not really going to come off in a... Sometimes you can just dip the tip of the edge of the credit card in. You just have to continue to do that if you do. There you go. It's not going to create a solid line, so if you prefer using a brush, by all means use a brush. Get your liner brush out, add a little bit of water to your paint, and paint this line in. If you look at the example painting, the only places that the stem really shows is just a tiny bit in between and down here at the bottom maybe. So you really don't have to worry too much about it being perfect. We're just trying to get some lines in there in case they're kind of showing between the flowers. We want to have them to have stems, and it also gives us kind of a place to aim our flowers at, if that makes sense. So when we drew in our flowers, we had a place for them to go along. If you get too much on there, you can kind of scrape it with the tip of the credit card. I'm going to flatten that out and just kind of squeegee off all of the extra and just dip that edge in there. There we go. It's working. Just take your time. It's going to have fuzzy edges. Just kind of embrace the imperfectness of it. It's sort of the fun of working this way with these kind of crude materials, is the process is a little bit less predictable. We can do the same thing with our palette knife. So if you have palette knives and you really like to use those, you could do these flowers with your palette knife instead of the Q-tips. Scoop it up on the edge there and just use that to draw in your thing, just like we did with the credit card. And I'm even going to turn it so it's a little easier for me to get that knife edge down. Just going to tap with it at an angle there. There we go. Same kind of concept. Going a little bit less thick at the top though, because I will fill in that area with some dots of with our I wanted to say brush, but we're not using brushes. With our cotton swabs. And really, I'm just using cotton swabs because they're easily accessible. You won't, you know, if this is your first time painting, this is a great painting to start with. You don't have to run out and buy a bunch of expensive brushes or supplies. You can just kind of use what you got in your medicine cabinet or bathroom and grab up some of those Q-tips. And just scraping off the extra over here off to the side, getting it off the middle. So I have room to put other colors down there. How are we doing chat today, honey?
Well, people just coming in and say hi.
Good.
So we say hi back.
Yeah, we missed you guys this weekend. Saturday Mark was burning stuff. I was out of town. Came back, the backyard.
It was still there.
It was still there. There's evidence of burning things that happened.
True. There were power tools being used.
Nice.
Stuff being burned.
I think we were all happy. I got to listen to music, and Mark got to work his magic with the power tools. And he broke the vacuum cleaner more, apparently. So
I fixed it really, really good.
Handyman, you are not.
Hey now. I hung new lights.
You did.
And assembled the bar stools we bought back on Black Friday last year. 6 months later.
Right.
But I got it done.
Good job, honey. Okay, so I've grabbed some of my green, added a little tiny bit of yellow to it. While I'm talking about this, I'm not even telling people what I'm doing here. And I'm making little circles at the top. I'll make a leaf coming out here. So the top of all these hollyhocks have these big bulbs that sort of, you know, before they open up, they get these big, large green shapes. Just going to add some leaves here. I'm twisting my brush as I kind of paint to keep it from getting too fuzzy. It'll help to keep the bristles more compact. And just kind of pulling off a little bit from the stem if I've got my leaf way out by itself, like this one. Trying to get a little variation in the color, so a little bit of the darker green and lighter green on the Q-tip at the same time, and that way I've got a little bit of interesting colors going on, but we can go back in and highlight these later if we need to. These are just going to peek out between the hollyhocks. These are one of my favorite flowers. I say that every time I paint a new flower, though, so I think I've decided that all flowers are my favorites, but I just like flowers, so. Fortunately, I think that my audience tends to like flowers too. So we're all good. Everybody's happy. Hopefully. I mixed up a little bit of that burnt sienna color. This one down here. We're just going to use up all this space. I'm going to grab some of the blue and make like a blue green color. I'll do one of these over here with some blue green. Maybe this one over here too. Just kind of doing them sort of sideways. None of these are like front-facing flowers or front-facing leaves. We're not seeing the whole thing. We're kind of seeing them turned on their side, some of them. So this one's probably the only one that's going to be kind of more forward-facing. So we'll take our time with that one, fill it in a little bit more carefully. Kind of like that. And if it doesn't cover well on the first try, we can go back in and give it a second coat. So don't worry about that too much. Grabbing a little bit more of the blue. How you doing, hon? I can hear you typing away over there.
Yeah, some people are reporting issues with freezing and stuff like that, but others are having no problems. I'm seeing no problems on our side.
They might try lowering their resolution then on their stream.
Yeah, that's what I was just typing.
Okay. Sorry. I'll let you get back to work then.
Hey, thanks. I mean, we could switch spaces and see how that turns out, but
I think you should do one of these. I think you could totally do it. I think that's a good idea. As somebody asked today if you were painting, so apparently there was rumors going around that you were going to be painting today.
Well, I had put out on your Facebook group that if you didn't make it back in town, that we would still go, and I proposed a painting.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Mark was unsupervised this weekend. That's all I have to say. Causing trouble. I think people would have been just fine, happy to have you teaching from what I heard, so one of these days maybe.
Can you go back over the way you did the background one more time?
Yes, I just used the paint straight out of the tube and put it straight onto the canvas, and used a large chip brush, which is just one of these this brush here, large flat, and I laid white, 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 green, 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 green. Just about that much each time, maybe a little bit less, just enough to kind of cover it, and then I just streaked it this way. So the white kind of blended with the green a little bit, but it was a little bit lighter at the top than the bottom. So.
And then I dried it.
Yeah, and marked on it. Sorry, I forgot. I left that part out.
Very, very important step.
Exactly. Okay. Let's keep my paints wet for this. I'm just spraying them with regular water here every now and then. Keep the palette damp. Get some of that darker color there. Add some of that. Get some of that stem color to use for this top. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Got our kind of background leaves all figured out there. And we'll just start over on this side with our pink flower. I'm going to grab some Quinacridone Magenta. And I might wet down my Q-tip, just give it a little bit. Might help it stick together a little bit. Grab a little bit of white, scoop it up just from the side there. And I'm just going to make a light pink out of this. Some medium value color. And I'm going to twist it so that it actually kind of makes like a little cone shape. If you twist it, push down. And we're going to use that and put in our flowers. And you don't want too much water in your Q-tip because it'll get soggy. So if it's gotten soggy on you, get a new one and try it dry. So some of these will be more oval, and some will be more circular. The ones kind of facing us are circular. The edges are a little bit ruffled. Sometimes you'll see more of a shape to them, like they'll have like a 4 or 5 petal shape. But for the most part, the ones that I found photos of, were just circles and oval shapes. So this made it really easy to use the Q-tip because you don't really have to worry about drawing it accurately or having a particular perfect shape that identified them. Circular shape really is sufficient to read Hollyhock, or read as your eye will read as a Hollyhock. A little bit more. And I'm kind of rolling it back and forth as I'm putting it on. It'll cause some of the edges to be a little bit more ruffled than others. A little bit more realistic looking. And it also kind of helps keep the fibers of the Q-tip from expanding too much, getting too fuzzy if you kind of keep rocking it back and forth and on itself, so that it forces those fibers back to the center. If it's getting out of control on you, just grab a new one. That's the nice thing about this. There's very low cost art supplies here. I like doing it on this taller canvas. It's giving us a little bit more visual height. Nice big one down here at the bottom. And if I was to do this one with my palette knife, I would do it similar to the one that I did with the poppies. So if you want to see that, you could check out the poppy with the teal poppies that I did a couple months ago. That was doing similar shape flowers using the palette knife. So, all right, that looks good. Let's grab some of the bright, darkest turquoise or Quinacridone Magenta, and I'm just gonna put in my centers while it's wet. It'll kind of blend a little bit with it, but it'll just tap around the edges. Tap in the center a little bit, and then kind of tap it out around the edges a little bit.
And one more time, what was the size of the canvas panel you're using?
12 by 12.
12 by 12.
12
okay.
inches by 12 inches, yep. Yep. It's a good size. I use this a lot in my kids' classes. You know, it's just a good medium-sized. It's big enough to feel like, you know, you've kind of done something important, but it's not so large that you can't find a spot for it in your house, you know. It's easy to kind of find a little corner to put it in, so it's not a big investment in money or time, you know. The canvas panels, these flat panels too, you can pop into frames that you can get at Hobby Lobby and other places like that. So if you do something that you really, really like and want to hang up on the walls, you can do that, or you can just add a little bit. I've added a little ribbon, little piece of ribbon to the back here and just hung it on the wall, or even the contact strips that they have a little Q-tip or Velcro contacts. Okay, so to make this really deep burgundy color, I'm using burnt sienna, and I really shouldn't have added white to it yet. I'm going to grab another Q-tip. Burnt sienna and purple, and I need to make a really dark purple. The burnt sienna just tones down that purple a little bit and makes it a little bit more on the reddish side, so it's a little bit more maroon, and you can even add I might even add just a little bit of the red to it too. Yeah, that's good. Make it more of a dark, deep maroon color. And it's going to look black going onto the canvas. That's normal. We're going to lighten it up, but we'll want the center to be really dark, so we'll just go ahead and put it on like this. I'll use this one that's got a little bit lighter color in it. Pick up a little bit of white, make a lighter version of this purple. We'll use that along the edge there. While it's wet, it'll just kind of blend those two together, soften it up a little bit. Okay, put that down. I keep forgetting. Sorry. So this is, you can see it goes together really fast. Very, very, very easy. Do not need to know how to draw. You can do some lines and dots, you're good to go. They don't even have to be straight lines, so. You want to try one of these, honey?
No.
Okay.
I'm okay.
You're okay?
Yeah.
All right. You happy back there?
But somebody has noticed that the green paint on your palette looks like a shape.
It does. Looks like a wolf head or something, huh? That's awesome. What did they say it looked like? Oh, what? Just look at kind of like a rat head. Is that what they're saying?
No, well, let me see what they actually said. It says just a weird looking green guy.
Yeah. That it does. This one is not, the highlight color is not really very bright. These stay pretty dark, so even the highlighted parts are not super bright. Maybe do a little bit of color in a couple of those right there, like they're just opening up. Grab some of the lighter purple, add that around the outside. Get some of that really light color. Just add a little bit right along that very outside edge. And I'm not really outlining these, if you notice. I'm just kind of dabbing like little sections. I'm not completely, you know, doing a perfect outline. It'll make it a little bit more natural looking to have little breaks in it. Especially this one's a good example. You know, a little dab, 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 you know, dot, dot, dot. It's not like a perfectly outlined circle. I'll make it a little bit more realistic. Nature is very random. There's not a whole lot of perfect anything, even in flowers. Unless you were looking at it just straight on, you probably wouldn't see it as a perfect circle. Okay, let's do some yellow. Grab some of the cadmium yellow medium, pull it over to the side, scoop up some of the white. We'll mix those two together. So it's kind of a light yellow. It's not super bright. Grab some more white, do a very soft version. We'll use the medium color for the main section of the flower. So this one is opening up this direction. My great-grandmother had hollyhocks. They were really there. I think they were probably taller than me. I can't remember how old I was when I saw them, but they made an impression. They were just so stunning. Grow taller than a person. Here. And over the green part here of the stem, you might put a little bit extra white in your yellow if you are having trouble covering anything. This seems to be covering just fine for me. You're awfully quiet tonight, hon.
Well, you're doing such a great job of teaching. There's really no questions. I mean,
okay, good.
what's going on? And you've already kind of talked about your channel.
Yes, I did.
Traceable?
Yeah, we'll have a traceable available on Patreon. So if you want to use one, I will make one tonight and have it up. They're $1 for a whole month worth of traceables. Includes all of the traceables from 8 new ones for this month and for the current month, and then all the older ones. So it's a good deal.
Back to February.
Gives us just a little bit extra money to help support our channel. It's a nice little way of saying thank you guys who decided to help us out on Patreon and offer a traceable for your support. Okay, getting down to the bottom here. Gonna look good. I'm going to set that aside, get a fresh one, and grab my yellow oxide. That'll be the centers of these yellow ones. So we'll put a bit of that in there. And then grab my green one again. And there's just a little bit of green in the centers as well. So just going to tap off some of that green into that wet paint. It'll soften the color a little bit. Make it big enough because we're going to put a little yellow dot in there too. So just make it wide enough so the yellow dot can go in there. Looks good. All right, this one is the red, so I'm going to grab the Naphthol Red Medium and scoop up some white. I'm going to make this. The Naphthol Red Medium makes a really lovely kind of almost watermelon-y red when you add some white to it. It's not a pink like this one is, you know, it's a really nice soft red. So that'll be the color for these ones. Very pretty color. I'm really being conscious of avoiding repeated patterns in these flowers too. If you notice that I've got, you know, varying heights, and I don't have the same size flower repeating the exact same shape in this exact same spot. We're trying to vary them up a little bit in height, and also this one's going to be kind of a sideways one. Be a nice big one down here. Go right up against that yellow one. Just kind of crowd it out a little bit. They can touch each other. We have a little overlapping. Okay, now we're going to grab that brighter red and add a little tiny bit of the purple. So I'm going to just grab a little bit of the purple and mix that together with that darker red. It's going to make a little bit deeper red color, and we'll tap that into the centers of these ones. I'll do that one off to the side there. Grab some white. I'm going to mix a really light version of this red with the white. And we'll just use that to dab some highlights around the flowers. It's very, very impressionist, very messy. So you're just going to have to embrace the messiness. Don't try to be too, if you're really perfectionist about your painting, this is actually probably a good one to do, because it maybe help you let loose a little bit and play with your paints a little bit. It might drive you crazy because you can't really predict how it's exactly going to look. But I think it's good to get out of our comfort zones every now and then in art and kind of try new things and explore different styles. And actually watched a video about some of the practices of highly effective artists, 7 practices of highly effective artists or something like that it was. And one of the things it said was that perfectionism can actually hinder our artistic growth because we slow down. We don't learn as much in the time period that we are perfecting our artwork. We learn more in the first I'm trying to think of the development stage of a painting. We learn more in that stage of a painting than we do in the, now I don't know if this is completely true, but when you get it to a point where it looks good, decent, and you feel like it's, good enough, when you're first learning how to paint, I'm not saying, when you're selling it for a gallery or doing a commission or something. I'm just talking about if you're a first-time painter and you're just learning to paint. It's more beneficial to do more paintings than to do one good painting. Does that make sense? So it's, 3 decent paintings versus one painting that you spent, 2 weeks on. You'll learn more if you do more quantity and let go a little bit on the perfectionism, because you're practicing as you're doing any art that you're doing. You're practicing and developing better skills. But when you slow down to really work on one particular area of your painting over and over and over again to get it exactly, just a certain way that you have in your head, you're not actually necessarily helping your skills build as quickly. And that was, basically the point. Is you're still building skills, but you will get more benefit out of it if you move on to another project and just, keep keep trucking along on new things and don't get caught in working the same painting over and over again until it's just so. So, food for thought.
I think one of the other tips too is that you do some calculus problems to help with your art.
Calculus?
Yep.
Helps?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't agree with that.
Are you
This is
sure?
white mixed with my yellow. I'm pretty sure.
You should.
I've never had to use calculus. But I don't know. It could help. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Because I know all the artists love math.
You're just teasing me because it took us 15 minutes to do a simple math project on my birthday with me and my girlfriends and trying to escape the escape room. I'm never going to live that down. I actually got A's in math in college, college and high school, but I don't know. We couldn't do a simple math problem to save our lives or to escape a room, escape Alcatraz in that case. Okay, a little bit of white mixed in. So I'm just going back here with these ones and adding some highlights. I still have to do the last one there, but now that acrylics dry a lot darker than they go on, so I'm just adding some highlights back in to where I feel like they needed a little bit of brighter color. Now they're looking a little bit more dimensional. Yellows are still looking a little bit washed out, but I think that's just the screen. I'm trying to get off some of that chalk around it. That one. All right, so then the last one is kind of a peach colored one. So that's why I pulled in the orange. I didn't use the orange in my example one, but the orange that I got was a little bit too safe. I wanted a little bit more punchy, a little bit brighter orange. So I mixed the Quinacridone Magenta and the yellow to make my peach colored one in the example, but I'm going to use a little bit of the pyrrole orange with the Quinacridone Magenta instead for this one, and I think it'll make it a really, really pretty peach. Okay. Yeah, it's nice. But you can get a similar color with the yellow if you just want to mix you don't have pyrrole orange or any kind of orange color. You can mix your quinacridone with your cadmium yellow. Get a peach color. I'm using a lot of thick paint here because I need, especially over the top of the stem area, I need it to cover. So wherever that stem is, I'm really scooping up a lot of paint to lay down over the top so it'll cover better. If you're using craft acrylics, you may have to do a coat of white first and then do your color on top because it may not cover as well. That's normal, so don't feel like you're doing it wrong. It's just craft acrylics are thinner. They don't have as much pigment. And they work great, but you'll need several coats to cover. So take a little bit longer, but you can still do this with them. And they're a lot cheaper too. Okay. Do a couple of these that look like they're opening up. Then in the center, I'm going to grab some of that Naphthol Red color. Use a little bit of that mixed. This is kind of the highlight color of the Naphthol Red ones. A little bit darker in some of the centers. Grabbing some white, doing some really bright white, bright peach highlights along the edge of these. Almost white, still got some of that pink in there. Pretty bright color. These are a lot softer pink. Okay, now to finish them, we're going to use the yellow, cadmium yellow, and a little bit of white. Mix those two. A little bit brighter than the color that we used for these ones, so I'm going a little bit more on the cadmium, a little bit less on the white. I'm still adding a little bit of white to them though. Okay, getting paint all over. I'm going to hold it with the napkin. And we're just going to dab our little highlights in these little centers of our flowers. And they're kind of a little bit elongated, so if some of them look like they're kind of sideways, you can make them more of a longer, not a dot, but like more of a stamen kind of oval shape. But nobody's had any questions tonight. That's unusual.
Well, somebody did ask, that they're working on 3 different paintings at one time. Mm-hmm. They're wondering if that's too much.
I don't think so. I think it helps to come back to a painting with fresh eyes. So I actually think that that's a good practice to have, because sometimes you can see things better if you give it a couple of days in between working on it. So, yeah, I definitely do that myself. I'll have 3 or 4 paintings working at the same time. And
oh, well, then I answered wrong. I said I thought you only did 1, so.
Yeah, no. When I'm doing, my pieces for galleries, at least usually have 2 or 3, because a lot of times the backgrounds have to dry in between, and, so I kind of pop back and forth between them. And it just depends on what you're in the mood to paint that day, So, okay, let's add a little bit of butterfly into it. I'm going to grab some white with the one that I've been using the yellow on, and we'll do a butterfly right in here. And I'm just going to do triangle, 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 triangle. Try to get them the same size across from each other there, if possible. Probably should have zoomed in for that, but oh well. Too late now.
I can zoom in if you need me to.
Yeah, zoom in on the butterfly there.
I'll try. Here we go. We're going in.
Phthalo Blue.
How close do you want to go?
Just on the, I don't know. Yeah, that's good enough. Get some Phthalo Blue and a toothpick this time. Just use that toothpick to draw in my butterfly body. It's going to extend above and beyond the wings just a little bit. And then use the tip to draw in some little antenna. Might grab some Quinacridone Magenta and do some little dots along the outside of the wings. The paint's getting a little thick here, so it's not one to work with me. Come on, paint. There we go. If you've got a stylus tool, you could use that instead. It's got a rounded tip, so it makes it a little bit easier to make dots with. Good. Okay. Zoom us out there, honey. I think we've got our painting. I'm going to just carefully go through here, and once this paint's dry, wipe off any chalk marks I've got that I didn't use. You notice I didn't really go exactly with my drawing. I just kind of use it as a reference to help me place things. A lot of times I can see better where I want to put things when I've got my paint out. So you could add stems or, you know, like centers to your leaves, more details there. Could add more butterflies, whatever you want to do. I hope you guys get creative with it. I love to see your paintings when you use the tutorials. So if you want to share those with me, I've got all my social media links down in the description. And be sure to check out some of our other videos. If you go to click on my face or my name in under the video there, it'll take you to my channel homepage, and you can see all of the older videos. We've got over 150 now, and what we've got coming up, we've got a video coming up this Saturday. So we're going to be doing the roses, red roses in a vase. Let me see if I can find it. Here's our Galaxy guitar from this weekend. That was fun. Looks like forest leaves, and the moon's the center there. Oh, there's our succulents. There we go. So that'll be the one we do on Saturday. So hope you check that out. I don't have the link up yet, but I will by this weekend. So we'll be seeing you live on Saturday.
Is there any stickman?
Oh yeah,
stuff?
Stickman. I guess he needs to be. All right.
Man, you were all in the groove to finish up, but
well, I know I wanted to get him done before an hour.
yeah, well, hurry up.
Okay.
Go.
Well, here we'll do. Well,
Stickman's our mascot. I drew the Stickman. Angela adds something each week to it. There's classic Stickmen out there, so.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. He's gotten a lot of flowers this month. We've painted a lot of flowers. That's okay. It's spring.
Good job.
We're allowed.
Chat people are happy now.
Okay. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.